Hello, I'm Amy Jackson, President and CEO of the Catoosa County Chamber of Commerce. I am honored to bring you 12 interviews of the candidates for City of Ringgold and City of Fort Oglethorpe elections. We had one candidate who was unavailable with a prior commitment, Ray Weebly. The Catoosa County Chamber of Commerce position regarding politics and public office is one of education for the public. While the Chamber does not get directly involved in politics, we feel it is our responsibility to educate the public on the viewpoints of the candidates and equip them to make knowledgeable decisions at the polls. In that vein, thank you for viewing the Ringgold and Fort Oglethorpe candidate recording interviews. Tonight we're here with Mayor Earl Gray from the City of Fort Oglethorpe. Mayor Gray, I appreciate you being here today.
Thank you for the invitation, ma'am.
Absolutely. So I just have a few questions I just wanted to go through, and anything else you want to add, you're more than welcome to.
All right.
To let viewers know a little bit about you and kind of what you've been doing and what you want to do in the future, I guess. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So first one is, why are you seeking re-election for for the City of Fort Oglethorpe?
Well, I'm not finished yet. We've still got a lot of things going and a lot of things working, and we've been on a pretty good road for the last 4 years. I'd like to continue to see the city moving forward.
All right. And why do you think that you're the best choice for that?
Well, I think I've proven that. It's a kind of a unique situation that we're here in this particular election. My opponent, as everybody well knows, served on the council for 6 years, 7 years, I guess. And you can actually go back and look how he voted and look how I voted, and I think it kind of speaks for itself. Unless people's gotten amnesia and forgotten what happened in 2013 in our city, it should be a pretty easy decision.
Okay. What in your background qualifies you for the position of mayor, and what expertise would you say you do bring to the table and have brought in and continue to bring?
Well, I've served 2 years, of course, on the council prior to being a mayor, and I've got 4 years as the mayor. I've got over 200 hours of continuing education through the Georgia Municipality Association, so I think I've paid my dues pretty good. It's been a learning experience.
Sure.
I certainly have learned quite a lot through the years, and certainly met a lot of wonderful people in this city that's helped me make a lot of these decisions. You know, it takes a team. No one individual can do it by themselves.
Well, and that's my next question: is how important do you think it is for the mayor and the city council and the city manager to work together?
Well, there again, it's kind of a unique situation. You know, people can go back, and I hate to keep referring to 2013, but I mean, our city was a laughing stock. And I think people can go back and look at that and see how a mayor and council that doesn't work together, how they go backwards. And when you get a mayor and council that works together, you start moving forward. Okay. And I think the last 4 years has proven that. We got a good team in this city.
Good deal. Thank you. If selected, what specific goals would you like to accomplish during your term to extend that another 4 years?
Well, we got to continue to grow. We've got to capitalize on what's happening in East Ridge right now. That's, you know, East Ridge is booming, and there's a reason that a lot of those businesses are going over there and not coming to Highway 41 in Cloud Springs Road, and it's because the incentives that Tennessee's offering them that a developer here in Georgia doesn't have to offer them. But with the completion of this hotel and that stadium that East Ridge is building, and the water park and the motels still on the drawing board, that'd pretty much be the end of their land that's available in that big development there.
Sure.
And certainly they're going to continue to go right on down Highway 41, which is the city of Fort Oglethorpe. We've got the sewer, we've got the infrastructure, we're ready for them.
It's ready to go. Okay, great. What would you consider as the main issue affecting or challenge of the city of Fort Oglethorpe, and how would you address those issues?
Well, of course, probably the main challenge, and unfortunately there's no way to address them, is our water and sewer.
Okay.
You know, we're dependent on Tennessee for our water and our sewer. You know, unlike Ringgold and even Walker County has some where they have their own water source.
Sure.
Of course, Catoosa County's got Catoosa Utilities, but the city itself, we don't have a water treatment plant or a water source. So we have to depend on Chattanooga. Everybody knows what they've been through. Everybody knows about the $1 million fines they've had to endure, and of course they're passing it on. And unfortunately, there's nothing you can do about it.
Okay.
You know, I wish somebody had the answer to it. You know, but one thing that I did manage to do is we did manage to form a group with Walker County, Lookout Mountain. We even had 4 Tennessee towns that joined that group.
Okay.
And so now we're united as a team.
Sure.
You know, it's you can get a lot more accomplished if you've got 8 or 10 people on your side versus one person on your side.
Sure.
So that's one thing that we've gotten done that I'm real proud of. Even though this last increase they had was pretty healthy, it still wasn't near as high as what they wanted.
But it could have been.
And, you know, when you get that many people, and Tennessee American Water and Moccasin Bend, it's the first time in history that we've had that meeting with all those towns there, and actually had 6 representatives from Moccasin Bend Treatment Plant in that meeting. It was a very successful meeting. It had never happened before.
Gotcha. Thank you. Thank you for that information. How do you envision the future economic development in Fort Oglethorpe?
Well, I think I kind of touched on it on that Highway 41
Right.
area. I mean, if you look at our city as a whole, we're kind of landlocked in every direction that you go. So future business development is going to be Highway 41 and Cloud Springs Road.
Right.
Of course, we're working on the widening of Cloud Springs Road, and I heard it at the council meeting today. People just don't understand how long it takes the state or federal government to do anything. You know, and I was the same way before I got involved in government.
Sure.
If you'd have told me, well, it's going to take you 10 years to get this road built, I'd said, well, you're crazy. You know, me and Amy could go do it in
We
2
get that
years.
done.
You know, but it just doesn't work that way. We'll discuss that tonight about our grant on Lafayette Road.
Okay.
I mean, that's a federal grant administered by the state. So in other words, we don't really have
Any
any
control.
involvement other than the fact that we worked our tails off to get the grant.
Sure.
But you can't speed it up. I mean, they go at their own pace,
Sure.
which is very slow.
Just to have to be ready when
And
they,
you know,
when they get it
when
done.
we got the thing, I told everybody it'd be 2020 or 2021 before you would probably be able to physically see it.
Right.
And everybody said, oh, it won't take that long. But when you're dealing with the federal government, you move at their pace,
Sure.
which is slow.
Gotcha. And you pretty much, have you got everybody on board with the streetscape now? And
Everything's on board. Everything. We're ready.
just waiting for the
Yeah.
go from the federal
Yeah, I
government.
wish they'd just say, we'll write the check and you go ahead and do it. We'd start on it tomorrow, but it
Gotcha.
doesn't work that way.
Absolutely. One more question. In your opinion, what are the top 3 core responsibilities of government at the city level? And kind of your priorities within
Well,
that?
you know, of course, your top priority is your citizens.
Okay.
And as a rule, what those citizens pretty much demand is they want their water and they want their utilities at a reasonable rate.
Sure.
They don't want to see an increase in property tax. And of course, you got to have a safety concern. And that's what most of the people want. And I'll put all of ours in that category up against anybody's. Plus, you got to have a community involvement, just like we're redoing our playground.
All right.
You know, you got to have something that keep the community involved. And I think we've done a tremendous job in the last 4 years with it, especially now with the playground getting redone. We've redone the ball fields. We've opened the gymnasium. You know, we're community orientated, if that's the correct terminology there. You know, we listen to what the people want, and that's what we try to do. Unfortunately, you can't do all of it. But, you know, when they're saying your playground, we knew the playground equipment was bad. And,
Right.
you know, you go over that 4-year period, you put a little bit back, put a little bit back, put a little bit back, and finally we got to the
It's
point
important.
where we could do it. It's going to be something this whole town can be proud of.
Sure. Absolutely. Is there anything else you'd like to tell the listeners and the voters? Just anything about you or about the future for Fort Oglethorpe, or just
All I need to tell them is go vote.
go vote?
You know, we've actually got about 3,400 registered voters in this city, 3,400. Unfortunately, only about 1,800 of them are active. And in our last city election, only 804 people voted. We need to get that number up.
Okay.
You know, let's get out and vote And let's
early
keep
voting starts Monday, the
let's
14th.
yes, and I'm sure people remember me back when I ran for the very first time. You know, I said the train's come off the track. We got to get it back on there. Well, we've got the train back on the track, and we've got the train moving forward. And I want to keep it moving forward for the next 4 years. And I would appreciate your vote.
Thank you, Earl.
Thank you,
Appreciate
ma'am.
it. Today we're here with Lewis Ham, mayoral candidate for the city of Fort Oglethorpe. Lewis, I appreciate your time. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. So I just have a few questions I want to
Okay.
ask you, and feel free to add anything in that you'd like, okay?
Okay.
The first question I have for you is, why are you seeking the position of mayor for Fort Oglethorpe, and why do you think you're the best choice?
Well, I think that I've got a lot to add
Okay.
after being on the council for 8 years.
Okay.
You know, and then coming back to run for mayor, I think I'm able to give some experience and then some things there that I think I'm thinking about that we might be able to do in the city to help some of the progress of the city and things like that, working with the council and then with the city manager to do things that makes the city a city.
Okay. Now, one of my questions actually is how important you think it is for the mayor and the council members and the city manager to work together. You mentioned all those entities just there.
I think it's very important.
Okay.
In all, they've got to be some give and take
Okay.
of each one. And all, and then you know, the city manager does the job of the city manager, the mayor does the job of the mayor, and then the city council do their job and all. And we can all work together
Sure.
in that for a positive reason.
Absolutely. What is your background? And and we said you'd already served at one point. And what qualifies you for the position of the mayor for Fort Oglethorpe?
Well, many years ago, I started out as a plumber
Okay.
and all, and I did plumbing for 40 plus years.
Okay.
And then the Lord called me in 1978 to preach.
Okay.
And all in 1980, we moved up to Chattanooga to go to Tennessee Temple University.
All right.
And then after about 7 years there in Chattanooga, we moved back down here to Fort Oglethorpe and all. And I pastor Salem Road Baptist Church now.
Okay.
And have been there for several years. And then and some of that, some of my training in school and all as a pastor and all that sort of weighs in on running for office like this,
Okay.
you know, and all. And then, like I said, I was on the council for 8 years.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. If elected, what specific goals do you have that you would like to accomplish during your term?
Well, one of the biggest things is the Appalachian Trail Grant.
Okay.
I want to see that through. I was on the committee back when I was on the council, along with some other people in Fort Oglethorpe in the state and all, of trying to reach that point that we could get the monies to do the Lafayette Road,
Okay.
you know, project and all. And it was a lot of work, a lot of hard work and all. And, you know, I just want to be back in this to see it all the way through.
Okay. Anything else?
Not that I can think
Okay,
of right
all right.
now.
We talked about the working with the mayor and the council members. What do you consider the main issues or challenges, if you will, for the city of Fort Oglethorpe, and how would you address that?
I think one of the main issues that I think is coming up is our fire department.
Okay.
After the county has quit giving the $175,000 to Fort Oglethorpe Fire Department. I think the challenge is finding the money elsewhere to replace that and to keep the fire department going on and all. I think that's one of the biggest issues that we're facing there. And then probably the water and sewer fees and all. And I understand that there's not much we can do about those because they are pretty much set.
Sure.
But I really think that we can hold the costs down and all to a point.
Okay.
And all. And so, let's see, there was something else I was
Well, if you
would
think about it,
mention,
we
but
can come
anyway,
back to it.
we'll come
Okay,
back
yeah.
to it.
What about, what do you envision for the future economic development of Fort Oglethorpe, for the city of
I think there's a wide variety of
Okay.
things that can be done for that. I've been driving around Fort Oglethorpe, and I see out on Battlefield Parkway that there's some acreage out there that empty. Nothing is going in there but weeds and all. And then I ride around in some of the little shopping centers that we got. There are spaces in there that are empty, and that means no tax dollars coming to us,
Sure.
you know, and all sales tax and all. So what I see is us trying to work with the owners of the land and the spaces in these shopping centers to bring in businesses to fill those.
Okay.
You know, it's always great to see new additions, you know, new shopping centers, new things like that, you know, are coming in, but then you've got to still maintain and trying to get people in the empty spaces that are already there.
Sure.
And all, and you know, you work with the people that owns those in trying to get there. You want to advertise maybe through the chamber or on our own website these areas, you know, and all. And when people go and investors go and looking into Fort Oglethorpe, we might have a link from that to these particular places and all, and having an area for the entrepreneurs to come in and all. And I think that's, if we can start filling these spaces and all, I think we'll see the growth of Fort Oglethorpe a lot better.
Okay, awesome. In your opinion, what would you say are the top 3 core responsibilities of government at the city level?
One thing is maintaining a police force
Okay.
that is keeping our city safe. And I think that Fort Oglethorpe's got one of the best police forces in the area, if not the whole United States and all. And that helps for the safety of our citizens and all. And then trying to hold down spending.
Okay.
And all. I know that there's a lot of talk about government spending and all, big spending and all that and all, but we can hold that down, I think, you know, and all as much as we can and all. And so, you know, that's the things that I think that
Anything
we
else
can
you'd like to
do.
tell voters? You've got the opportunity. Just anything else you'd like to share about yourself, or thoughts on the city of Fort Oglethorpe being the mayor?
Well, I would just like people to look at me and decide on their own if I'm the right candidate for that and all. I've been out knocking on doors, meeting some people, and that's been really interesting and all. And I just want to try to be the best mayor that we can have here in Fort Oglethorpe and all. And people just go to the polls and vote. That's what the freedom of America is voting and all. And the way that you vote, that's between you and yourself and all. And, you know, just do what's right there.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate your time, Liz. Thanks for
Okay,
coming.
thank you.
All right, so today I'm with Melissa Jacks, and she is running for the Fort Oglethorpe Council person for Ward 1. Is that correct,
That's
Melissa?
right. Yes,
Thank you
ma'am.
for being here today. We
Thank
appreciate
you for
it.
having me.
I just want to give you an opportunity to talk a little bit about your platform, and I have a few questions, and we'd just like to go through those if that's okay.
Sounds great.
So why are you seeking to run for the city council?
Well, I actually got involved in my neighborhood when
Okay.
we got a rezoning notification. And we had a developer that wanted to put in an RV storage facility behind our property. So had that happen, it would have significantly depreciated our property values.
Okay.
So we were successful at securing over 100 petitions, signed petitions against it, and it was unanimously voted no at city council meeting. So
Okay.
from that, we had numerous residents in our neighborhood who asked me to run.
To kind of got behind you,
Mhm.
I understand. And why do you think you're the best choice for the city council?
Well,
Council
I've
lady.
got over 30 years of experience in marketing and management. I'm a business owner. I'm an educator of 20 years. And I've got 6 years of experience as administratrix over a lawsuit, medical malpractice, and
Okay.
wrongful death.
Okay, all right. Thank you for sharing that. Tell me, and then this is a little bit about what you were talking about, the background that you have that qualifies you for this position on the city council, and what expertise would you say you bring to the table from that?
Code enforcement for sure.
Okay,
Yep. In fact, my platform is public safety and code enforcement,
Okay.
business partnership and growth, and economic development, historic preservation and development, and entertainment and festivals.
Awesome.
So we want to see the right growth into the city of Fort Oglethorpe. So I brought a few pictures so you
Okay.
can kind of see some of the improvement areas that we would like to capitalize on. We want to do better than this. You know, this is where we are. We have lots of boarded up businesses. I've got some more over here too. We've got parking lots that can definitely look better. Properties here that need to be improved.
gotcha.
And I've also got some pictures from our subdivision, and you can see what I'm talking about. This was something that a developer has allowed to continue. So we've got some code enforcement there. This is behind my house. This is what's going on. And that could have been an RV storage facility. So it's not very pretty right now, but it could have been worse. Right now, we're having problems getting the developer to repave our roads. So I got very involved from a code enforcement standpoint, and that's kind of still where we are. So I'm working with a panel of attorneys right now.
Okay, all right. If elected, what are some specific goals that you would like to accomplish during your term?
Well, I would love to have much more transparency than what we have. I'd love to have an improvement in code enforcement. I know right now they're working on redeveloping the codes, and I know we have a lot of room for advancement there.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so specifically on the codes. How important do you think it is for the mayor and the city council members and the city manager to work together, and kind of how do you envision that if you were elected?
It's extremely important. I think the city council, that's the vote of the people. And it's the mayor's job to facilitate.
Right.
And that's the way I see it.
Okay.
And that's the way you'll see me vote. I'm the
Right.
voice of the people.
Voice of the people. There you go. All right. And then what do you consider main issues affecting the city? And how do you want to work, to accomplish those issues? And
The main issues I see is lack of transparency. And that's not just my opinion, it's what I'm hearing from our constituents. I've been out door knocking, I've met with many who've been in politics for 30 years who are now retired, and I have their endorsement. And so this is what's been going on for a long time. We've got developers who've been allowed to come in and promote subdivisions and then later rezone something and put something in that depreciates the property value. So we need to have a change in that. We want to encourage the right kind of growth. We want people to come into our city and feel comfortable that if they purchase a property, a substantial value as a house, that asset's going to be protected, that it's not going to be depreciated.
Okay, good deal. Also, well, how about the future economic development? You mentioned, for tourism and the beautification projects and things like that. What are you thinking of? What are some plans or ideas that you have?
I think it would be great with all the medical advancement we have in the area to see a medical school here. I mean, we're prime location. We're 10 minutes from Chattanooga. That's the kind of growth that I would like to see here.
Okay. Any other ideas or thoughts?
How much time do we have?
You've got a few more minutes.
Some of the things that I stand for, you'll see me expose dishonest behavior. You'll see me stand firm against special interest groups. I'm a political outsider. I don't want to be a politician. I'm a citizen activist and a homeowner. And I hold myself to a higher standard than most, and you'll see me operate in accordance with my faith, morals, and my values.
Okay, all right, sounds good. In your opinion, what would you say the top 3 core responsibilities of government are at the city level? And how would you kind of rank those and your reasoning for that ranking? Where do you see?
Well, I guess it ties into my platform, really.
Sure.
Public safety and code enforcement's at the top of the list. We've got to manage a budget, obviously. And I hear a lot right now being talked about with grants. Well, another word for a grant is taxpayer dollars. So I really don't want to. I want to see that money spent wisely if we spend taxpayer dollars. I'd like for us to find other ways to fund things that than that to
Okay.
bring in the right type of growth and development.
Okay. All right.
And festivals and music is part of
That was
that.
you mentioned
Yeah.
that earlier. Yes. So what are
Yeah.
some? Do you have any ideas about how that might be done?
Well, we've got some neighboring cities, the Honeybee Festival. We'd like to do something similar to that, but unique to our area. You know, I've got a strong background in music and music promotion, music performance,
Okay.
and I've got a lot of key contacts as well.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to tell the voters while we have this opportunity? Just a little bit more about your platform or any ideas that you have specifically for Fort Oglethorpe and things you would like to see?
Well, I just think that we are in a prime location to do a lot of things that we're not doing right now. I think the historic development, the corridor project is another thing that I would love to see expanded upon. And my methodology for doing that would be to form a collaborative team made up of those who have expertise in those backgrounds. And when necessary, we can collaborate with neighboring municipalities. We are growing. The problem we're having right now with C1 areas, commercial areas, buffering up against a residential. I'd like to see more distance between that. You don't need a business right in your backyard, especially in a subdivision as nice as Heritage Woods.
Okay.
So I would love to see some advancement there.
Okay. Well, I appreciate your time today. Thank you so much for joining us, and
Thank you.
good luck.
Thank you so
Appreciate
much. Thank you.
Have a good day.
You too.
Today we're here with Fort Oglethorpe Council Lady Rhonda James. Rhonda, I appreciate your time and thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you for having me.
I just have several questions. We just an opportunity for you to talk to our listeners and tell them a little bit about what you've been doing and what you'd like to do in the future. Okay.
Okay.
So my first question is, when seeking the position of the council to renew the council member position, why do you think you're the best choice?
Well, I have a lot of years of experience. I have, of course, been in there 4 years already, and then I have 20 years of municipal government experience, and I have over 35 years leadership experience. So I feel like I bring the education and the experience to the job that's necessary. I have a very diversified background in manufacturing and then in a local utility company. I'm the CFO for a local utility company. So the financial side of it too is important. You want to be a good steward of the city's
Sure.
money.
Sure, absolutely. So your background, you talked a little bit about that. What qualifies you for the position of city council member, and what expertise do you bring to the table? So you talked about being a CFO and managing money.
Right.
What are some other things that you might?
Okay, we work in 5 sectors of the business. We have electric, we have
Okay.
gas, we have water, sewer, and telecom.
Okay.
And I know that's an important thing now with telecommunications
Sure.
and technology. So I feel like my background, like I said, it's very diversified, and then the education and the years of experience.
Okay. All right. And you're a candidate for Ward 1.
Ward 1.
Okay. Is there anything specific about that you feel like that your constituents maybe in the past have backed you for certain reasons, or some things that you brought to listen to them about?
Well, as I've been going out, what is important to me is when you go from door to door, you hear everything,
Sure.
the whole gamut. But what I'm hearing is a lot of people don't know about the things that we have to offer.
Okay.
We are improving the quality of life for Fort Oglethorpe, but a lot of people don't know we have a new gymnasium. A lot of people don't know about the hiking trail, the biking trails, and the walking trails. They don't know about the canoe launches. So that's something important that I want us to bring out and let people know what we have to offer. We're constrained on all sides
Sure.
by counties and cities, but we have a lot to offer in Fort Oglethorpe. And people are living longer, they're getting out, they're doing things outside. So it does make a big difference what we have to offer.
What are some of the things lately that you've been working on through the city council, some of your projects?
Well, obviously, everybody knows that I'm so proud of the dog park. That is important to me. I love animals, all types of animals, but
Sure.
that's something that we didn't have. And a few years ago, I was at GMA in Savannah, and I heard a gentleman in Dalton talk about the dog park.
Okay.
And he said that's something that you can do with little money, but it has a big impact. When we started this, we did a survey, and I don't know how many people were on the survey, but I know the percentages was like over 75% that wanted something like that.
Wow.
So again, that's another thing that we bring to improve the quality of life, and I'm very proud of the dog park.
Awesome. And when is that going to open?
October 19th, Saturday.
All right. If elected, what are some of the specific goals that you would like to accomplish during your term?
Well, like I said, one thing I want to do, I want to brand our city a little bit.
Okay.
The tourism group does, and you guys do a great job in getting the word out there. But I think we need to let people know of all these things that we have. Because like I say, going from door to door, people don't know of everything that we have. We have great rec association. We have a swimming pool that I want to say is best in the Southeast, that people don't know about. And the gymnasium you can rent for parties, people
wow.
can use that, and it's brand new, and it's very nice facility. So you can use that for all ages. We have a great senior group that
Okay.
meets every Wednesday at Constitution Hall. So I'd like to get more word out what's going on.
Communication, all right. How important would you say it is for the mayor and the council members and the city manager to work together? And what are some things that you think that could, going forward, maybe how it works now and in the future?
One thing that we have made sure that everybody knows about, we are working united with, of course, our city council and our city manager and our mayor. Plus, we're working with the city of Ringgold and Catoosa County. That's the first time that I ever remember, since I've been around here, and I've been around here all my life, that we've done that and working in unity with them. And you get more done. When you have more people working together, you get more done.
That's awesome. Great, thank you. What would you consider some of the main issues or challenges facing the city of Fort Oglethorpe, and kind of what would be some things that you would propose to combat those?
Well, like I said, we're constrained on all sides. We do have the polo fields and we do have the battlefield as part of us. It's not part of Fort Oglethorpe, but it's part of us. It's our heritage. It's our
Sure.
history. And that's a challenge, like I say, to get that out there, get the word out, and brand the city and make sure people know about it. So that's the main thing. Let's preserve our history, but let's move forward. We have to have things for the youth. We have to have things for the seniors. So there's a lot of things working together, and we want to work together as a unit.
What about the future economic development in Fort Oglethorpe? Where do you see that going, or what are any specific projects or anything that you have in mind?
Well, everybody knows about the streetscape that's going on, and that's a federal money that
Sure.
you're waiting on. So when you've got anything like that, you're always going to be not behind schedule for our part. We've done our part,
Right.
but you're waiting on them. You're waiting on the money to come in, and it's all about the money on things like that. But I think moving forward, I think that's a challenge for us, that we need to get that. We did streets in the city, or Labor Day in the city, in the streets. And what we had there was, it brought everybody together. We had people from Walker County, I think you were there, and we've got all that together. We've united them together, the different counties in the city. So I think that was a good improvement on that. People were excited, and I can't wait until next year to grow that.
Awesome. In your opinion, what would you say that the top 3 core responsibilities of government is at the city level, and how would you prioritize those? Which things would you work on, maybe already working on or in the future?
Well, number one priority, you need to research what, like say, annexations. I'll give an example of that. You need to go out and research it and make sure you're making the best decision that you can for the city. Number 2 is the unity. Our department heads and everyone has to work together to conquer everything.
Sure.
You've got your great police officers, you've got firefighters, you've got department heads in the city, and you have to have that unity. And number 3 is going out and listening to the community, listening to the citizens. Because like I say, everybody, you have nearly 10,000 citizens. By the next census, it'll be 10,000. Everybody's got a different idea, and they have different opinions on what needs to
Sure.
be done, and you have to prioritize those opinions.
Rhonda, is there anything else you'd like to tell the listeners, anything about yourself or some priorities that you have for City of Fort Oglethorpe? Just anything you'd like to share?
Well, the main thing, like I said, is quality of life. I want to continue improving quality of life. I feel like I have the education and the experience. I bring a lot to the table. And we all have every council member has something unique to bring to the table. We all have strengths. So we're working together to make those improvements and to improve that quality of life for not just us, but for generations to come. And I think
Rhonda,
that's very important.
I agree, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Have a good one. Today we're with Ringgold mayoral candidate Tony Hollander. Tony, thanks for being here today. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thanks
We
for
just
having me.
wanted to give you an opportunity to talk to the citizens of Ringgold, just to tell them a little bit about yourself and kind of, what you think for future of Ringgold. And so I've just got a few questions, and we'll
Okay.
go through those, and feel free to add anything.
Okay.
The first question would be probably the most obvious. Why are you seeking to run for mayor of Ringgold, and kind of what qualities do you bring to the table that make you the best choice?
Okay. Well, I think we need more representation for our city. Mr. Millwood has done a good job, but I think we need somebody that can go to our local level and to our state level and bring ideas back to our city and that will help our city.
Okay.
I've already talked to some people about getting some demographics to come in and see if we can get certain businesses to come in that people want, like new restaurants or manufacturing, stuff like that. So I've already talked to somebody there.
Okay.
So hopefully, if I'm elected mayor, we can get those people in and we can see which direction we can go as a city.
Okay, great. What about your background? What would you say in your background qualifies you to be the mayor of Ringgold? And then also, again, what expertise would you bring from your background?
Well, I've been in construction business all my life. I've managed two multi-million-dollar companies.
Okay.
One for about 7 years and one for 10 years. So I know how to deal with people.
All right.
I know how to get people to work together. And I think that's part of what a mayor is, to bring the council together, even when there's discord, to bring them together. And not only that, but to bring the citizens' ideas and needs to the council.
Sure.
After knocking on the doors the past couple of months, you see all kinds of people that's things that they want and that, I have never thought of,
Yeah.
and the council has never thought of, because
Sure.
I go to a lot
Different
of the council meetings.
perspectives.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good and that's what I want to be, is the liaison between the citizens and
Great.
the council.
That's kind of a segue into my next question is how important do you think it is for the mayor and the city council and the city manager to work together?
Very important.
Okay.
We can bring things to the table independently, but if we can't get on the same page together, there's no way we can get anything done. So it's very important for everybody to work together. And not only our city, but our county leaders
Okay.
and their Fort Oglethorpe too. I mean, we're right here. Our cities touch each other.
Sure.
So we need to be able to work together with our Fort Oglethorpe and our county too.
Okay. What specific goals do you have that if you were elected as mayor that during your term you would like to accomplish?
I'd like to see us grow with businesses
Okay.
and manufacturing, but to keep that heritage that we have in Ringgold. Ringgold's an awesome place to live. I live just right downtown, and I don't want to change that feel and that look, but I do want businesses to come in to where we can grow, that we can
Sure.
take that tax load off of our citizens, but bring money in and revenue in by the businesses that come in.
Okay. Great. What is your opinion about, I know in the last year or so, the entertainment district for City of Ringgold has been a topic of discussion. And just kind of
tell
us what your opinion is about that and in the future, where do you see that going or not?
Well, if most people that has followed this and come to council meetings, they know how I stand.
Okay.
I am against it, and it's not only because I'm against drinking, period, but I think our city is not set up for it.
Okay.
We have a great historical town downtown, but we don't have the businesses that even sell alcohol that we could have that entertainment district.
Okay.
So that's probably one of the main reasons that I'm against it, because we're just not set up for it as a city.
Okay. Thank you. What would you say some of the main issues or challenges affecting the city of Ringgold, and what are some of your plans to address those?
Challenge. That's a good question. Have to think about that one.
That's okay. We can come back to it.
Well, challenges, I guess, is just working together.
Okay.
I've seen the past 2, 3, 4 years that we've had a lot of division.
Okay.
Not only in our council, but from our citizens, because some of the issues that's come up. It's always a challenge when you're working with people.
Sure.
And I think I've got the qualifications that could pull people together. I've been in leadership just about all my life, so I know how to deal with people.
Okay.
And that's probably the biggest challenge is working with people.
The
Yeah.
communication
Yeah.
factor, I gotcha. What about future economic development for City of Ringgold? You mentioned a few things, but do you want to share with us anything else as far as, you said specifically manufacturing?
Yeah.
And some contacts maybe at the state level?
Well, you know, we just had a meeting this past week,
Okay,
and I got to come to that. And our new economic development director,
Keith
Keith,
Barkilla?
Yeah. Very, very smart guy. And I got to talk to him a little while afterwards. And I think with him coming on board, coming to the county, that's going to help our county
Okay,
and it's going to help our city. He's on board about getting manufacturing to the city because Ringgold is where our manufacturing place is. Fort Oglethorpe's got the retail, and Ringgold's got manufacturing. I think that's obvious by the
right.
way we see everything. So I look forward to working with Keith very much. Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to tell voters just about yourself or any plans for the future as far as if you were elected mayor? Just anything you'd like for them to know?
People that know me knows that I'm just me. I don't put on a show. If I feel one way about something, you're going to know how I feel about that issue. But I will look at things broadly
Okay.
and see if there's any good in whatever comes up. But I am a Christian. I do have Christian values, and I base my whole life on Christian values. So that is going to be what drives me as mayor. So.
Well, Tony, I appreciate your time. Thanks for coming in today.
All right, thank you.
Have a good one.
All right.
Today we're here with Ringgold mayoral candidate Paul Lee. Paul, thank you for your time. Appreciate you being here tonight.
Thank you, Miss Amy. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. So I've just got a few questions I want to ask you,
Sure.
just to give information to voters, and anything you want to add into it, feel free to do that, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So my first question to you is, why do you think that you're the best candidate for the Ringgold mayor? And also, what things do you bring to the table as far as that position?
Okay, well, we got 3 people running for this one position.
Okay.
What separates me from them is easy. They have a vision, I have a plan. I have a plan to change this town for the better. My Let's Make Ringgold Great is putting it in the right direction. What it is what people don't realize, Ringgold is a weak mayor position. That means the current position, the mayor can wave at you in a parade. He can cut a ribbon in a ribbon cutting. He can open up a city meeting and he can close it. That's it. That's his position. So I want to change this and put it the way it should be. The mayor should have power to have a vote and a voice. And when you elect somebody for a position, you expect that person to do something. If we elect a president, we expect our president to make decisions and lead us in the right direction. Same way with the city mayor position. What separates me from them is both of these other candidates are happy with the way it's running. I'm not. That's what brought me to this position, to bring in new businesses. Right now, our city government does not want new businesses, regardless of what they tell you. They want select businesses. They would love to have more doctors' offices, more lawyers' offices, but I want some more retail business. I want some businesses, restaurants, bring in business that will help pay taxes and lower. If we bring in more businesses of commercial taxes, then we should be able to lower the homeowners' taxes because we're going to have more revenue. And if the city is ran in a good budget position, then it can be done. But we have to put the position of running the city the correct way. Or, like I say, let's make Ringgold right, R-I-G-H-T.
All right. Sounds good. So what in your background do you think qualifies you for the position of the Ringgold city mayor of Ringgold? And what expertise do you bring for
Well,
that?
what brings me different from my opponents is I'm a businessman.
Okay.
Some of my signs you might see, pro wrestler, businessman, whatever. The reason I did that, I want just to address people that I'm the Paul Lee, that's the wrastler. There's another Paul Lee in the Chattanooga area that was a police officer.
Sure.
Good guy. I support the blue, but what it is, the deal is we need a business person.
Okay.
A city needs to be ran like a business. I own 7 successful businesses. planning on opening more. And my deal is we need to run the city like it is a business.
Okay.
In place of being foolish with money, spending unwisely, making wrong decisions, not supporting our police department. Our police department is in a room above City Hall in a locked door. I mean, if that's ridiculous. Our police department should be on the outside, should have a department right beside City Hall, and that's what I'm pushing for.
Okay.
If you say that you support your blue, you need to support me then, because I'm the one that's supporting the blue. No other candidate is even caring enough to say, I mean, like I said earlier, we ain't got just visions. I got a plan.
Okay.
My plan is to begin the first meeting. You're gonna see a difference in the City Hall.
Okay.
So I make promises and plans.
And that was my next question. What specific goals would you like to accomplish during your term if elected?
Well, if elected, my term is going to be to grow Ringo.
Okay.
I want to grow
In what
Ringo.
ways?
I want to bring in businesses, give them incentives. You can go in. A business can go anywhere. I own 7 businesses. I'm about ready to start a franchise business where I want to put one in Pigeon Forge, Myrtle Beach, Branson, Missouri, and Daytona, a restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
But you can go to any town.
Sure.
But what gives you the purpose of wanting to go to a town? Well, I need an incentive. What are you going to offer me? I can buy land in any town.
Sure.
But what is Ringo going to offer a business to come there? You can't just slash them with all these fees and sign permits and all this nonsense. Do you realize that Ringo is one of the worst cities around here on sign ordinances? Well, I got a saying. I say a business with no sign is a sign of no business. You know why we ain't got no businesses? We ain't got no signs either. I mean, this needs a change. This is going to be the only time a person going to have this opportunity. If they really want Ringo to grow, they need me in there. Okay. These other opponents, they don't look at it as a problem. I do. Our city cannot keep going forward into the 21st century like it is. I mean, think about it. Ringo should be the gateway to Georgia. You got Catoosa County consists of Ringo and Fort Oglethorpe. Mm-hmm. Fort Oglethorpe blew us away. How far are they off the freeway? 4 miles? Mm-hmm. And they blew us away with business. We got 3 exits now. If they're going to keep annexes areas into the city, let's grow it. Don't just have undeveloped land sitting there. I mean, our city government should be ashamed. I mean, it's being the property's there, nobody buying it, because if they go and open up a business, they're going to be taxed to death or feed to death, and they don't bring nothing to the table to a business to come there.
Okay, all right. What about the entertainment district? We've heard about that in the last year or so for the city of Ringo. What would your opinion be of that? And
well, like I said at the meeting, entertainment district consists of open drinking out on the streets. Yeah. We don't have a downtown to entertain. I mean, honestly, we did have Peppers, which served alcohol right near the depot. Mm-hmm. But every other building is a lawyer's office, a title agency, we don't have a downtown to develop. Our first deal, which I recommend, and this is a plan similar to what made Gatlinburg what it is today, I got a plan to grow downtown Ringo, and I can show the citizens how we can make Ringo into a retail town. Okay. Once we make it a retail town, then let's give the decision to the citizens, not to the council member. Give it to the citizens, should they allow open drinking in downtown Ringo. But here, it comes with a cost. Mm-hmm. I'm a professional wrestler. I wrestled before on Bill Street. It's one of the biggest drinking areas right on the street. We didn't have no problems. But it came with a cost. There are 48 officers patrolling Bill Street a night. That's a cost to the city. I was at Riverbend. We had 87,000 people tonight. I put on a wrestling show at Riverbend. But there were 64 officers patrolling. So if you're going to keep it safe, you're going to be a cost. First of all, our city don't even support our police department. I mean, that should be priority. How can you sleep at night not knowing you're not protected? That should come priority. Like I said, there are 3 things I look at a city. Mm-hmm. Businesses make the city. The citizens is the city, and the police protect the city. We need all 3 of them, and them are the 3 things I'm working for. The businesses, the people, and the police.
Okay, thank you. That answered another question I had. So you're ahead of me. That's good. What would you say the main issues or challenges are for the city of Ringgold, and what would you do to address? I know you've talked about a few there, but anything else that you'd like to
There's
share?
so many things that we need to address. I mean, like you said, from the entertainment thing, we need to build a downtown. We need to first control this charter. This charter where the mayor don't have no position. I mean, that's ridiculous. If something drastic came to Ringo, an event, a mass shooting or say, guess who they want to do the press conference? The mayor of Ringo, right? So you can put him in front of a camera and ask him to, or be the spokesperson for your city, but you don't have no vote or no say so. I mean, that's ridiculous. Our city should never be run by by a hired position. It should be run by an elected person, and we should make the decisions based on them decisions. If the citizens vote for things, then their voice should be mentioned, and so therefore, we got a lot of things to address. I got plans to move the city forward. First, with the charter, change the charter. Second, build our downtown and build our police department. Our police department we need to support them. If anybody can sit back and never say that they support the men and women in blue, they need to support my campaign because I'm the only one at trying to fight for these guys and girls. I mean, people really don't understand. I mean, our city is not really supporting these guys.
Okay.
It's the city police department was promised tasers. They were promised tasers, and then the money wasn't. The city wouldn't give them the money. They had to finally. Dalton Police Department had to give them some tasers. You know how embarrassing that is. That's as a citizen, I'm embarrassed. We shouldn't have to ask another city to give our police department tools to work with when our own city government is sitting there with the money and they won't spend it wisely on our police department. So there are a lot of things I would address, and I'm not ashamed to be the one to jump up and say, look, you're doing the wrong deal. You aren't doing it the right way.
Right.
So let's make Ringo right is a campaign to make everything right, the right directions for not only the citizens but the businesses and our police department.
And you talked a lot about having the mayor, have different responsibilities and abilities, I guess I would say. How important is it for the mayor and the city council and the city manager to work together?
Oh, I think it's a very, very professional thing to do. I mean, because you think about it, we're not in middle school. Don't act like middle school. I mean, that's a problem with our current administration. They're playing like they're in middle school. I'm not a game player. I'm a business guy. I am a pro wrestler, and somebody, I've been a bad guy in the wrestling business for 90% of my life. So I told people the other day, apparently I played my position too good because some people really think I'm a bad guy. But, the deal is we all need to work together. Okay. And I would be, like in my first meeting as mayor, I would be honored to make an offer to everybody. Let's work together. Let's do it not for if you don't like who's in position now, but let's do it for the people. And that's what everybody should put their little differences to the side and do what's best. Not for their per se buddies, or because they got a buddy over here. I'm going to support my buddy here. No, it should be people put you in a seat that you got elected. Do what's best for the citizens, the businesses, and what makes Ringo. Not just for your selfish reasons or I'm not for everybody, but business-wise, I am for everybody.
Paul, is there anything else you can tell us about you that for voters that maybe just something you want them to know specifically?
Yeah, I want first of all, I want everybody to come out and vote for whoever you're gonna vote for. We have a low turnout in Ringo for some reason, for all the citizens that's there, all the voters. I suggest everybody to come out, vote. I hope you vote for Paul Lee, but if not, at least come out and vote. I think it's our right as citizens, Americans. This is land of the free. We got an opportunity. I travel in 10 countries, and you don't see how we got it so good here compared to other countries. Sure. We really got it good, and some people might not like certain people, but You know, it's kind of like I tell people, you know, when you're a kid or even adults, you don't like going to the dentist. Uh, but you know, if you get a toothache, the only body that can fix that tooth is go to the dentist. Well, I want to be the dentist of Ringgold. I want to fix that cavity that we got that's invading our city. You know, it's a problem. If we don't get it took care of now, our city will never grow. You know, if I'm not elected, then I know that the citizens don't want our city to grow. They want it just the way it is. That's fine. If either of the other candidates is fine, if you don't want this city to grow. If you want to leave it just like it is, you ain't never going to see a downtown development. I promise you that. You won't never see no more restaurants or no big businesses. You might see a few more doctor's offices, but that's it.
Gotcha.
And but if you want to really see Ringgold grow, I'm going to be the man, and I'm going to be the one that's up to bat and speak for the citizens and for the businesses. And I'm going to make sure if I don't do what I say I do, I won't run again. That's my promise.
Paul, I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Miss
so
Amy. I
much.
appreciate you being here.
Absolutely. Today we're with mayoral candidate Nick Millwood. Nick, thanks for meeting with me today.
Thanks for having me.
Just want to give our citizens an opportunity to get to know you a little bit better. And I've got some just basic questions, but would just love for you to talk a little bit about kind of what you do as mayor currently and
Sure.
kind of where you see the city of Ringgold going from here.
Okay.
I guess my first question would be, why are you seeking the re-election for the candidate for the mayor of Ringgold?
Well, I guess the first best reason is I love it. I have served 4 years on the council and now 4 years as the mayor, and I see my role as a spokesperson for the people who elected me, and so I keep people very informed about what's going on in the city. And
What are some of the ways you do that?
I do it personally. I'm out in the community. So I invested in a golf cart, and I am constantly out and about in my city. And so I talk to them personally. I also do that on social media.
Okay.
I make myself extremely available, like with my phone number. I put it out there so that anyone who wants to contact me at any time can do that. And I very much encourage people to do that. And people very much take advantage of doing that. And so I'm contacted a lot about a lot of things,
Okay.
and I love it. I love people. I'm a 7th grade math teacher. That's my regular job. And so relationships and interactions, it's something that makes me happy. And I see a great, wonderful community, and I'm just so happy to serve it.
Great, great. What I was going to ask you, you said you're a teacher. So what is your background, and what would you say qualifies you to continue as mayor of Ringgold?
Sure. Well, just on the council side, I did serve 4 years on the city council. So I served 2 years as a council person and then 2 years as vice mayor. And when Mayor Barger decided to step down, I ran for his position. And so now I've been mayor for 4 years.
4 years.
My background is I'm an educator. I teach 7th grade math at Ringgold Middle School. And my wife is also a teacher at Heritage Middle School. And so we're a teaching family. And yeah, those are, some of the main things that I do. I also serve as president of the board for Primary Healthcare Centers.
Okay.
And so they are our local healthcare centers that really focus on the populations that have trouble with things like insurance and things like that. And so, and they have school-based healthcare. So, if a kid has issues, medically or dental or stuff like that, they can actually go out at their school and get care that they wouldn't be able to get otherwise,
Right.
and go back into school. So it's we're doing a Dancing Stars event coming up this January, and so I encourage everybody to get out. It'll be out here at the Colonnade, but serving on that board has been amazingly rewarding also.
Great. If reelected, what specific goals do you have that you'd like to accomplish during your next 4 years?
Sure. We have a lot going on in the city. Not just beautification stuff, because we have a lot of beautification things going on, which, necessarily have some growing pains. We have Alabama Highway that's going right now through a lot of construction. And so I'm looking forward to that project coming to fruition, because it's going to be a very pristine exit, and I'm going to mean a lot of good things for a lot of the businesses on that exit. I look forward to maintaining a dialogue with our population. And so, and it's not just about letting people know what's going on in our communities. It's about bringing in ideas and having a better understanding of where our populace is on the issues.
Okay.
And I think that's something very valuable that whenever I came on the council, it was perhaps a little lacking. And that's just, the nature of me being young and energetic and being able to use those tools through social media and things like that to be able to bring in that expertise from our community. So I look forward to continuing that.
Sure.
We-
One of the things I know that has been talked about for the city of Ringgold is the entertainment district. And what is your opinion or what are your thoughts on that?
Well,
And maybe tell what that means exactly.
Sure. Whenever, I guess that got put on one of our agendas by one of our council people. And so I guess I'll say that the mayor doesn't actually get a vote
Okay.
the way that the city council is set up. And so, however I feel about it, I don't necessarily get to, have a vote for or against
Okay.
that. But I went through and I talked to, whenever that came up on the agenda, all of our businesses in our downtown. There may have been a couple that I missed just because they might not have been there, but I knocked on doors and I talked to people. And the businesses, by and large, very much wanted it. They are desperate to increase foot traffic. And so it was a situation where, and we put it out there on social media. That's one of the things that I'm very proud of. We get input about all of these issues. Sure. And so I'm not opposed to the idea. I understand that there are some very legitimate concerns about that need to be addressed and need to be watched closely. I don't know how close we are to actually passing that. It hasn't come up in a while.
Okay.
But you were right. It was very, I guess, contentious, whenever it first came on the council. And so, yeah, it was a situation where, again, I appreciated my role as being able to go out there and bring in input and information. And they have online polling. And we were talking about where people who are actually city residents, where they were at on the issue. So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So how important do you think it is for the mayor and the city council members and the city manager to work together?
Oh, it's extremely important. It's a situation where we have a form of government where we have 5 council people,
Okay.
and then there is 1 mayor and 1 city manager. So I don't know, whenever the council votes on things, it is the mayor's job to inform people what's going on. I try to do that ahead of time before we actually have the vote, to, I guess, be the communicator for the city. And I very much enjoy that role. Our city manager is the one who actually implements that policy that the council votes on.
Okay.
So it's, I don't know, they're just all so intricately connected. It's, I would say it's very important.
Very important.
Yes.
Okay, good deal. What would you consider a main issue affecting the city of Ringgold, and how would you address that in the future, in the next term? What would you say that you kind of see coming up?
Sure. We have, Catoosa County is one of the few counties in the North Georgia area that's actually growing. We are, our biggest challenge is managing that growth. In the city of Ringgold, we have a population that is kind of split. Some of them value the small town, slower paced, whereas some people really embrace growth and that sort of thing. So to me, the biggest challenge is growing in a way that, honors what our community has always been, while at the same time, we have a responsibility to like our businesses, especially in our downtown district, who for years have been in and out of those stores. Sometimes they're all full, sometimes there's empty spaces. So that's to me the biggest challenge is we have a little bit of room to grow in our downtown. We have a lot of room to grow in places that we've annexed, moving down Alabama Highway and 2A, and so we have great opportunities to for growth. We just, trying to do that in a way that honors our city's values.
That's my next question.
Sure.
How do you envision the future economic development in Ringgold?
Sure. Well, in our downtown specifically, and I'll talk downtown, then I'll talk about some of
Okay.
our growth corridors. In our downtown, whenever I first came on the council, we had a vote that was, I don't know, it was hard fought. It was a 3-2 vote, but we decided to actually buy a piece of property in our downtown that's right between City Hall and our downtown businesses.
Okay.
And so we developed that. We put in parking. We had business pads that we put right on the road. And, now we have a big, beautiful building there. And so we're trying to, along those bottom stores, put in retail and restaurant, and on the top, office space. And that's just, a goal to, again, create a situation where all of the businesses are benefiting because they have that foot traffic.
Right.
And that entire block, really, between City Hall and our downtown businesses, the strip that's right there on Highway 41, we've come under control of almost that entire block.
Okay.
So the type of development that you see there, we're looking to develop that whole block in a way that is, I don't know, like I said, tries to honor the values and things that we've always had in the city of Ringgold. But our growth corridors, there's a lot of opportunities out there. We have a lot of space right now beside the Center for Sports Medicine, and they're actively trying to develop that area, really on both sides of 2A, going down that way. And there's, some bigger corporations that could potentially come into those. And,
Sure, absolutely.
Sure.
Well, a few minutes left. Is there
Okay.
anything else you'd like to tell voters, just to a little bit about you, or anything else that you in the next 4 years, kind of what you see, or just anything else that can help them to know you a little bit better?
Sure. It has been such an honor to serve as mayor for my hometown that I grew up in. I went through Ringgold Middle and High School when I was a kid. Never envisioned that I would one day be mayor. But the opportunity to talk to so many people and to develop so many relationships, and I really feel like I'm coming into my own in the role. And it would be just such an honor to be reelected. This is actually, even though I was on the council 4 years and now 4 years as mayor, this is the first time I'm actually running for reelection for a position.
Gotcha.
And yes, I just love it, and I'm so excited to be doing it. And I'm so grateful for the opportunity that I've had to be in this role, and it would be such an honor to be reelected
Well,
to do
we
it again.
appreciate your time, Nick. Thank
Thank
you
you,
so
Amy.
much. Have a good day.
You too.
We are now with Sarah Clark, Councilwoman from City of Ringgold. Sarah, thank you for joining us today here at the Chamber. We just wanted to give you the opportunity for our listeners to learn a little bit more about you and kind of what you've been doing as a councilwoman and kind of what you think for the future of City of Ringgold. So my first question is, why are you seeking re-election, and kind of what do you think you bring to the table?
Well, I'm seeking re-election because I feel like there are some exciting things going on in Ringgold right now. I'm really very much a proponent of preserving historic preservation. I mean, preserving the historic resources as well as growing Ringgold from the business side.
Sure.
So what the exciting thing that happened for me about a year after I was on the council was that we had the Institute of Government from University of Georgia come up and formulate a Renaissance plan. And this plan was really formulated by, I think we had probably 1,200 people in Ringgold participate, either in focus groups or
That's good
online.
participation.
They were amazed at the participation, and the questions really went to, what do you want to see Ringgold become? What do you want to see it be? What do you like? What do you don't like? And so out of that, we have the Renaissance plan and are starting some of things to happen. And I'm so excited about making greenways in Ringgold and making a connective city so that you can walk from historic downtown to the swimming pool and to the walking trails and just have a nice pathway.
Sure.
So that's one thing that I really would like to see I would like to stay on the council to see
Okay.
that work progress. Another is I'm very interested in, I've always been interested in prioritizing projects so that you watch your tax dollars. So Terry Crawford and I used to laugh. The first question out of both of our mouths would always be, "And how much does that cost? And how much
Good
does
question.
this cost?" And it was a good question. I'm really talking to the police now about, and how many of those do you want? And so that's another thing that is a priority of mine. And then the third thing, I guess, is trying to see how much money we can get from other sources. We've gotten grants. If you've been downtown and you've ridden by the Citizen Cemetery, that fence was all paid for with a grant, with a state grant. And
I noticed it today, actually. I've seen it before, but I did actually.
Good.
It caught my
Good.
attention this morning. So.
because really, truly, when you can use grant money to fund the materials, and then you have the staff, and we have a wonderful staff. You have the Parks and Recreations Department that actually did the work.
Okay.
You get phase one of something that really is a beautification for the city without spending a lot of money
Sure.
from the city.
Okay.
So those sort of are my priorities
Okay.
that I'd like to stay and see that. If you wanted to ask me why I thought I could serve, because I've only lived in Ringgold almost 9 years.
Okay.
Now, my husband is a fifth generation Ringolian, but for me, it's only been about 9 years. And before that, I did a lot with state government. I've served on the Board of Natural Resources for 14 years. I'm now on a Natural Resources Foundation board, and I thought there's some connections, and that's always good.
You just answered my second question. 'Cause
Oh,
what
okay,
expertise
go.
do you bring to the table? So there you go. Keep
Okay,
going. That's
well,
great.
from that standpoint, I felt like I could utilize those connections and help the city. In fact, the latest thing wasn't in the city, but it was Stone Church.
Okay.
And Stone Church wants to add an addition for a library.
Oh wow, I never heard about that.
But they want to remain on the historic list for historic buildings, and they didn't want to jeopardize that. And in order to do that, you have to go through the Historic Preservation Division of DNR, of the Department of Natural Resources, and they sent on all the paperwork. They did everything they could, and it wasn't really happening in a timely manner. And because the head of that division is a friend of mine, I was able to call and say, "Dave, could you just move it? Could you find it? Could you find the application?" They're really excited about having this library space. So I was able to do that and get it moving.
Sure,
I mean,
that's awesome.
so those connections, and then I have to tell you, I've been in public policy a long time. I was on a school board for 8 years, and I chaired for 7. And if you think city government, the people are close to you, school board, the people are really close to you because you have some say-so over their children.
Sure.
So I'm used to working in a public policy arena and a public service area with local people.
Thank you. That's perfect. If elected, what are some specific goals that you would like to accomplish in the next 4 years? So,
Well,
obviously, to see some of these things come to fruition that you talked
yeah,
about.
I really do want to see a continued progress. I want to see Ringgold continue to go and thrive the way it is. And I attend the Downtown Partners once a month as the city representative, and I love it because I get to see what the business side thinks and what they're doing, and
very active.
and they are very active. They are yes, they are a very active group. And then I know that regardless of this election, there are going to be some new people.
Sure.
And I'm really, I would really strive to continue to work as a team. The 5 of us that are currently there didn't always agree.
Okay.
I mean, I kind of laugh. I came to this position because I really wanted Ringgold to have recycling.
Okay.
So, do you hear that? Recycling. If you're not recycling, you should get on board. So, I was really pushing recycling. And I remember Terry Crawford saying, you know, people in Ringgold aren't going to recycle. And I kept saying, if you're under 50, you're going to recycle because that's what you're used to.
Right.
And so we finally put in the program. In fact, he said, I'm voting for this. I don't know if it's going to work, but I'm voting for it. And so I even got him on board. And it's really taken off. It's really saving us space, saving us money. I'd say it's avoided cost is
Sure.
what you say. And I think it's a wonderful program. So that was one thing I wanted to do. And now we're growing to the point that this next month, everybody should have a blue recycling can to go with their
Very
green
nice.
garbage can
Very
instead
nice.
of 2 green cans out there.
Okay.
So
So that's important.
that was very
Sure.
important to me coming on. And I'm working as a team.
Well, that's one of my questions too, is how
Okay.
important do you think the mayor and the city council and the city manager working together is? How important
I
would you say
think
that?
it is essential. I really do. I only wanted to jump up on the table one time and say, guys, I'm the only woman, guys, we need to get a solution here. We need to be able to resolve our differences in order to move toward all thinking the same way. And I think we do now all really want what's best for Ringgold, but you know, people want to get there a different way.
Sure.
And I've been kind of, I don't want to say in the middle, but sometimes I feel like I'm sort of, you're a woman. Hate to do this to you. Don't let it men out there. Vote for me anyway. But sometimes we can look beyond any of the ego stroking events to look really truly to a solution. And I think we have. I think we've got a great council right now. And I'm sure
That's awesome.
whoever gets in there, it will be a great council as well.
I do have one question for you about the entertainment district and what's kind of your opinion on that? I know it came up last year a little bit. I'm not sure where that is at this point, but what would your opinion be on that?
Okay, well, the first meeting about the entertainment district, I'd had hip replacement, and I missed it. And I thought, oh, hallelujah. But there was a second meeting, and it was also front and center. My solution for the entertainment district, and this I've told people who are for it or who are against it, is you can't say it is going to work or it's not going to work if you don't try something.
Sure.
We have a fenced-in area back by the Ringgold Market on Mountain Street across from City Hall
Okay.
that I said, okay, you can put a band there, you can put seats there, you don't have to have added police, you can check people in and out. It's a confined space. You can put a beer truck in and we can try it. And we deserve, the young people in Ringgold deserve for us to try it. If it doesn't work, we're not out
Then you've
anything.
tried it. You can say.
We've tried it. We have it in a kind of a pilot program for us.
Okay.
In a, like I said, in a confined space, so that the worries of people saying, "Oh gosh, they're gonna be all over the streets, and we want to bring our children in." I think it's a perfect opportunity to see how it works. So that's my answer,
All
and
right.
that has been my answer on the street this
Okay,
whole
I think
time.
that's great. How do you envision future economic development in Ringgold, downtown, or along, along Battlefield Parkway? What do you think?
Well, I can tell you first, we got a grant from the Appalachian Region Commission for $600,000 to help us put in a water tank. So we are gonna have the infrastructure as far as the water source for growth in Ringgold, and I'm excited about that. We don't need it yet, but we are planning to need it for the future. I see small shops. The Renaissance Plan has an idea of taking, for example, some of the warehouse spaces downtown in the historic district and having people come in and set up their small business. Maybe they have a craft, or maybe they have a skill that they want to teach, and maybe they only want to do it for 6 months or 10 months. They could rent that space, and we could publicize it, and it would be part of I think small business is part of the character of the historic downtown. I think when you get out to Battlefield Parkway, you get opportunities, and also what we have now on 151, there are going to be some opportunities for larger growth. But within the city limits of Ringgold, we don't have what the county has. We don't have large pieces of land for industrial growth right now. But it was also mentioned in this plan, I think they looked up the hill and saw those railroad cars. It was also mentioned that we take the railroad cars and put them, we bought Benton Place behind, kind of on Depot Street across from the depot. And all of that gives opportunities for creating a space that allows people to walk around, allows there to be small shops that you could go into. And across Depot Street is where, if we ever, got railroad cars, we could put them in. So it's going to be a small, walking, connected downtown, is what I envision for it.
Sarah, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Okay,
Have a
thank
great
you.
day. Today we're with Jake Haynes, Ringgold City Council candidate. Thank you, Jake, for being here today. I just wanted to give you an opportunity to tell our listeners and a little bit about yourself and kind of what you see for the city of Ringgold in the future. So my first question is why are you seeking to run for council member for Ringgold, and kind of what do you bring? What makes you the best choice for that position?
Well, I was actually on the council
Okay.
previously, last maybe 2 years ago. But what makes me I've worked for the school system for the past 32 years.
Okay.
And I've got a construction background. So, water, sewer, all aspects of construction I've been in. So I feel like you need a voice from that side as well. So I think that, I'm a hands-on guy and I've done a lot of this work myself. So I feel like I've got a lot to bring to the table. In the previous years, they've been sewer questions and how to pack the dirt and things. I've been able to bring some of my experience to the table.
Great. I can see how that would be beneficial. So you talked a little bit about your background. What else do you think, as far as your plans, kind of maybe what you worked on before when you were a city councilman, and kind of if being able to do that again? What do you see?
Well,
would
mine, we started, Ringold's got a well. We
Okay.
provide the well on Poplar Springs Road, and we've also got a grant for $600,000 to provide a water tower. So I'd like to see all this to continue on to provide clean drinking water for the citizens of Ringgold,
Okay.
and a lot more water so we can get some industrial business.
Okay. All right. And that's another one of my questions as far as economic development for the future. What do you see Ringgold doing in that realm? Whether it's downtown Ringgold or along Alabama Highway or that Battlefield Parkway.
I think a lot of jobs are going to come up and down, a lot of industry is going to come down Alabama Highway, especially once we get the well and we can provide water.
Okay.
Once the highway's in, we can have new growth going on. But that's the thing. I want to provide jobs, get some jobs where people can their families can work and stay in town. You know,
Okay.
it don't need to all be fast food. We need some jobs that can provide families that they could live off of.
Okay, all right, good deal. If elected, what are some specific goals that you would like to accomplish during your term?
I would like to see a few more sidewalks, street lights,
Okay.
maybe some of those older street lights down a few more streets and some sidewalks. When I was in office, we provided a lot of sidewalks, which I think is a lot good for people that's walking to work, walking to school. Also, I think it's time for us to build a dog park. There've been a lot of interest in a dog park. I think the dog park would do well. I think the city of Fort Oglethorpe's got one now.
They're
So,
about to,
yeah,
don't be
so
long.
I think Ringgold's ready for a dog park as well.
Okay, good deal. What about the entertainment district? I know that's something that's come up since you were in office, and maybe it came up then too, but I
Yeah.
know recently, this last year, there's been a lot of talk about that. What's
Well,
your opinion and kind of where do you
I don't
stand?
think Ringo's ready for an entertainment district like that. I mean, right now, we don't even have a restaurant in that area that serves alcohol. You had one, and it's since then it's closed. The only other bar that they had in town is closed because there's no support.
Right,
No, if they're not supporting those businesses, I don't think it's going to do very well as a district. Maybe if we get a few restaurants in there at a later time, but I don't support the entertainment district.
okay, all right, thank you for that. How important do you think it is for the mayor and the city council and the city manager all to work together, and kind of how can you help foster that one way or the other, I guess?
It's very important for you to work together as a team. I mean, not one person can get anything done.
Sure.
And everybody has ideas, so we get in there and talk. When you go to GMA, we go there a couple of times a year. They tell you a strong city council, mayor, the city manager all getting along brings more businesses into your community. They don't like infighting. They like a community that they come and everything's working well.
Sure.
And I think Ringo has a good city council and mayor.
Great, awesome. What would you say the main issue or challenges of the city for the city of Ringgold, and kind of any plans to help address those things?
I think the things are going well in the city right now myself.
Okay.
I mean, some of the things I would like to see, is stormwater.
Okay,
I would like to see us concentrate on stormwater, cleaning drains and making sure ditches are clear of debris. Maybe some brush, undergrowth is growing. Let's clear that out. Let's make sure the streams our ditches are getting to the streams. Like I said, continue with the sewer projects that we got going on. We got water infiltration. We got stormwater infiltrating in our sewer. We got to concentrate on that, or it's going to cost us a lot of money in the long run to pay for sewer bills.
okay, all right. And then, in your opinion, what would you say the top three core responsibilities of government are at the city level, and kind of in maybe a ranking of those, and what you think priority wise would be what you as a part of the city council you'd want to be working on first?
Well, providing services, trash, roads. I think that's a big, and police.
Okay.
Police is a big issue. I think we've got a safe town to live in. Really, I think the town's going in a good direction. I just want to be there to support, continue on with what we've already started.
Gotcha. All right. Is there anything else you'd like to tell voters, just at the opportunity, just to let them know more about you, or anything else you stand for, or things you'd like to see?
No, I would love to be on the city council, but if y'all would, vote for me November 5th. Early voting starts October 14th.
Okay. Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you
Thank
for being
you.
here today. Today we're with Ringgold City Council candidate Charlie Lamar. Charlie, I appreciate your time. Thanks for coming in today.
You're welcome.
I just have a few questions I'd like to ask you, and just to give you an opportunity to talk to voters and tell them a little bit about yourself
Sure.
and kind of what you stand for and what you see in the future. Okay.
All right.
So my first question is, why are you seeking the position of Ringgold City Councilman, and kind of why do you think you're the best choice?
Well, I'm seeking the position because I have been active in politics for about the last 6 or 7 years from a strictly a voter perspective, but involved in trying to influence people. And as I looked at the city politics, I felt like it was time for my generation to kind of step up. And I hope to breathe a breath of fresh air into the city politics. And I have a unique background.
Okay. Would you like to share that?
Well, I'm a chemical engineer.
Okay.
I'm a veteran. I went in the
Thank you.
military, paid my way, went into the military in order to pay my way through college. And I've worked in management roles virtually my entire career. And About the last 10 years, I kind of branched out. I did some home building and some commercial construction, and then most recently, through a tragedy with a friend, I ended up working in one of the local businesses in Ringgold, which really drew me into the fold and got me to be sort of an advocate for the city.
Awesome.
So that's kind of
Well,
how
thank you for
I
sharing that.
fell into wanting to do this, and so I feel like I'm a strong advocate for the small business owner
Okay.
and for the growth of Ringgold.
And the next question would be, what about your background do you think qualifies you for the position of city councilman? And what do you bring to the table for the small businesses, let's say?
Well, I mean, I think one of the big things is I feel like I'm in maybe at the top end, but I'm still the primary demographic that,
Okay.
spends money in the city, and I like the businesses in Ringgold. I go to virtually all of them, and I have a pretty good rapport with all of them. And I think for a lack of a better way of saying it, especially after running a business in Ringgold, I think I kind of speak everyone's language. And so I feel like that uniquely qualifies me. I've also been in leadership roles throughout my career, primarily being plant manager of chemical plants.
Okay.
And I'm an engineer, and I was involved in both residential and commercial construction, so I have a very good understanding of what it takes to get things done. So I feel like overall I'm very well rounded for leadership roles,
Okay.
and I have an excellent background in it.
If elected, what are some specific goals you would like to accomplish during your term?
Well, I think one of the primary goals that I have is continue on with the transparency, but I would also like to see that the bedroom community of Catoosa County spend more of its money within the city of Ringgold than going out to Chattanooga or potentially Dalton or Lafayette or Chickamauga. And so, one of the things that I want to do is I want to see the continued growth within the city of Ringgold.
Okay.
And I think that it'll be through policy and through setting the businesses, or through government or not necessarily regulation, but through government control of how businesses get set up and the ease of getting new businesses in, and really the promoting of the town to get businesses in.
Okay. How important would you say it is for the mayor and the city council and the city manager to work together, and kind of what would be your plans to help foster that?
Well, I think it's paramount to the success of any organization that there be good continuity through it. And, it looks like from an outsider, because, I don't have a great insight into what's going on,
Right.
other than I have been religiously going to the meetings. But it seems like there's pretty good continuity.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't anticipate that those are the real challenges of this election.
Okay, good answer. What about in the last year or so? We've heard a lot about the city of Ringgold, the entertainment district. What is your opinion of that, and any thoughts about for the future? I know it's been brought up a couple of times.
Well, I think any candidate looking at this election would be remiss to not consider something like this. I believe that there is some merit to it.
Sure.
I'm not sure it got the fair chance it needed to really get, to get a solid consideration, and I would have to consider it.
Okay. All right. Thank you. What do you consider the main issue or challenge affecting the city of Ringgold, and how would you address those challenges?
Well, I mean, all in all, the city is functioning. So, I mean, it's not like the town is folding up or
Sure.
anything. I think the challenge of Ringgold is what direction does it go? And
Okay.
I'm a growth candidate.
Okay.
I want to see Ringgold continue to grow. I could envision Ringgold being very much like a Blue Ridge, Georgia type community. We already have so much infrastructure, the creek walk, the big open fields. We kind of have the crown jewel of the town being the depot right there. All of these facilities are really on go. And
there are already a lot of great things that occur. You know, when the flags go up in the city, you know, it's such a beautiful and charming town. We have the 1890s Day weekend that goes so well, and so many people are drawn into the city. And the Christmas parade always gives you that very strong down home feeling. There is, you know, they're starting to try to develop the summer market and possibly a summer concert series. So I see these things moving. I just feel like that, you know, maybe the next generation or the next group of politicians that get in there can really emphasize that a little bit more. And that's certainly the direction I see myself
Okay.
continuing to be pro getting people from going out of Catoosa County into Chattanooga or into Dalton or somewhere else to look for things to do. I would much rather see the bedroom community come into the city of Ringgold.
Good answer. What about as far as economic development? I know you talked about maybe some on the tourism side and the festivals and things like that, possibly. But anything else in economic development that you foresee in the city of Ringgold? Or
Well, I mean, you know, one of the things that always, you know, as a kid, because I moved to Ringgold
Okay.
in the city in the second grade, and I've ridden bicycles all over town and swam all those years on the swim team and was, you know, very involved in the community. And one of the things that always kind of caught my eye is the fair number of underutilized property within the city. And I've always felt like, you know, we have a charming city, we have that great downtown storefront, but there's 5 or 6 vacant places.
Okay.
And, you know, I would love to see the competition for vacant buildings get taken up by retail businesses, restaurants, things of that nature, instead of continuing to get more attorneys right in town
Gotcha.
or you know, things of that nature.
Understand. In your opinion, what would you say the top 3 core responsibilities of government are on the city level?
Well, I mean, naturally, I think the largest or the biggest thing is that you have to keep watch on all the city businesses and ensure that there's going to be a future. And then I think when you go beyond that, I think it breaks down into all of the main things, you know, utilities, responsibilities, growth, stabilization of the community, you know, doing things that are fiscally responsible as well as meeting the needs of the people. So I don't know if I can easily break it into the 3 top ones,
okay.
but I certainly believe that the running of the government, which is really the least attractive part of the job, but it's the day-to-day part that makes the difference in the long haul.
Sure. Is there anything else you'd like to tell voters while you're here? You've got the opportunity. Just anything you'd like to share?
Well, I mean, you know, I am a lifelong citizen of Ringgold. I consider myself a lifelong citizen. I have a 15-year-old son in Ringgold High School, and I recognize and love this town, and I want to see it grow. I want to see property values continue to improve, and I want to see the city blossom in to you know, continue to blossom. I want it to keep its small town appeal, but I want to see the growth in the correct
Sure.
way, and I think that we are right on the forefront of being able to do that.
Perfect. Charlie, I appreciate your time. Thank you
Sure
so
thing.
much.
Thank you very
Have a
much.
good day.
Pleasure.
Today we're here with Donald Pangle, Ringgold City Council candidate. Donald, thank you so much for being here with me
Well,
today.
thank you for
I appreciate
inviting me,
it.
Amy.
Absolutely. So really the goal here today is just to give you an opportunity to speak with voters and let them know kind of who you are and what you represent. And I've just got a few questions, but feel free to add anything to it, okay? So my first question is, why are you seeking the position of Ringgold City Council member, and what makes you the best choice to be that candidate?
Well,
to
I'm
do
not
that?
sure I'm the best choice, Amy. This is the first time I've ever been involved in
Okay.
politics other than being a voter.
Which is important.
I've lived in Ringgold for about 7 years now. In the city, I've been in the county since 1974.
Okay.
And I've never had much of an interest. I've been encouraged by a friend of mine to get in it for a number of years and because it was not in the city, I couldn't.
Right.
So he approached me again a few weeks ago, well, a few months ago now, and said, "No, why don't you run for city council?" And I gave it some consideration.
Sure.
Thought, why not? I'm not getting any younger, so if I'm gonna do it, I better do it now.
Now's the time. Now's the time.
And why am I running?
Mhm.
I want to make the city better, and I'm
Okay.
not going to criticize those that are running it now.
Okay.
I don't know enough about them to be critical of them, but the first thing I would do if I get elected, I'm going to observe for a few weeks, just see what goes on inside our government, and then I'm going to do a lot of listening. Someone asked me what my vision is for Ringgold, a voter, and I asked him, "What is your vision?"
Okay.
I've got to know what my constituents
Yeah.
want
Sure.
to give me a goal, something to aim for.
Mm-hmm.
And once I'm in there, if elected, I'm going to do all that I can for the people. Because I understand that public office does not belong to the ones who hold that office. They're merely stewards of a government who have been put in there by the citizens of the municipality or the state or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And then those of us who are fortunate enough, and I think one who gets in that is a fortunate person.
Agree.
But you're put in charge of some things. You have a responsibility. And I want to work for the people.
Awesome. What would you say with your background? What would qualify you to be a city council member? What from your background, maybe previous employment?
Well, I've been involved in the business side of things
Okay.
a part of my life. I ran a pretty large department at a company I worked for.
Okay.
I know how to talk with people. I know how to make decisions. I know how to study things out and try to make the right decision. Granted, we don't always make the right decision, and you learn to make the right decisions by making wrong decisions. It's
Okay.
kind of a school that we're in,
There you go.
and unfortunately, we never get out of school. But I hope to always be learning while I'm in school.
Do you have anything specific as far as what you would like to accomplish if you were elected to the council? Is there anything specifically?
There's nothing, Amy, that jumps out at
Okay.
me right now because, as I said, I don't know enough about the inner workings of government
Sure.
to make that call. I'll just have to listen to
Listen.
what people would like.
Okay.
And I also understand that as a legislator, and that's what the city council is,
Mm-hmm.
we can't do everything that the citizens want. We can't afford it.
Sure.
But you got to try to reach maybe a happy medium and do the important things. Some things are not important, but people still want them.
Sure.
But they're expensive also. And we have a limited budget. We cannot spend more than we take in.
Sure. Absolutely. If you've listened to the last year or so, you've heard about the entertainment district.
Yes.
What would be your opinion on that, and any thoughts, or in the future? Obviously, I understand you want to listen, but what are your beliefs on the entertainment district?
Amy,
for City of Ringgold?
honestly, I don't know enough about
Okay.
it to have a real strong opinion. I am opposed to public drinking.
Okay.
And if it's going to be an entertainment district, who are we going to entertain? We're going to entertain the adults. We're going to entertain the children. And I admit that Ringgold does need a place for people to go, especially young people,
Okay.
teenagers. They're reaching out for something to do, and we can provide that for them. And I think we could do it at a minimal cost.
Okay. Good answer. What about how important would you say when you're working with the mayor and the city council and the city manager? How is that important? Do you think for those positions to work together?
Oh, I think it's
And-
necessity.
Okay. And how do you see that? You could add to that the workings of those groups to
Well,
people.
Just a different body
Okay.
being there. I think I could bring something new to the table.
Mhm. Okay. Awesome. Thank you. What would you say a main issue or challenge for the city of Ringgold is in what you know today? What would you see as one of their biggest challenges, and how would you work to make that bit better or more to handle that challenge?
Well, I'm sure that Ringgold faces the same challenges that any other town or
Okay.
city of its size faces. And it's up to us to determine what those challenges are. And I cannot name one right now. I know that safety is an important issue for me, and I think
Okay.
that Ringgold is a safe town. I cannot criticize what our police department and our sheriff's department have done over the years.
Sure.
We have a very low crime rate.
Mm-hmm.
No major crimes are being committed, and I'm thankful for that.
Mm-hmm. Good, awesome. In your opinion, what would you say the 3 core responsibilities of government are on a city level? So if you were on the city council, what would kind of be your 3 top priorities?
Well, I think safety
Okay.
has got to be the most important thing that we look at, because if it's not a safe city, we're not going to attract anybody, and the people who are there are not going to feel at ease when they go out at night.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'd like to keep taxes as low as possible. That's always an issue. And you've got to have responsible people that are spending the money to keep taxes down. And I would also like to do some things that would help Ringgold grow.
Okay.
We don't need phenomenal growth overnight. We need slow, planned growth. But we've not seen a lot of growth in Ringgold in really over its entire history.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, over the long term,
Sure.
it has grown, but not very much in the last 5 to 10 years.
Okay.
So we need to make the city grow. We need to try to attract more businesses, not just restaurants, but we need some industry.
Okay.
That's who pays the bills. When you can get industry, it employs people and it pays the bills. You got a good tax base there. And we could do a lot if we had more money to do with.
Always, right?
Yes.
Always. Well, just anything else you'd like to tell voters about yourself or about kind of your plans for the future with if you were elected as city council member? Just anything you'd like to share.
Well, Amy, as I told you in the beginning, the first thing I would do if I'm elected, I will go in and just look and listen.
Okay.
I will observe. I would like to get to know the other council members, the mayor, and the city manager better.
Sure.
So, and I want us to work together.
Perfect.
And it's my dream to spend the rest of my life in Ringgold.
Awesome.
And I want it to be a safe city. I want it to be a fun city. And I want it to be a thriving city to the extent that a small town can thrive. And I think there's potential there.
Mm-hmm.
We're right on the interstate
Mm-hmm.
highway system. There's no reason why we can't get some people off that big road and come in and visit with us and see just what kind of people we are. We're friendly people. I met a couple recently that just moved here from California. Met them in a restaurant there in Ringgold. They were eating breakfast, and I started talking to them. Had no idea where they were from,
Right.
but they commented about how friendly Ringgold
I hear
is,
that a
and
lot as
I
well.
think it is.
Mm-hmm. I hear that a lot.
And I believe we've got a lot that we could offer people down the road.
Sure.
And I'd like to be a part of that.
There you go. Donald, I appreciate your time.
Amy,
for being
thank
here
you so
today.
much for having me.
Absolutely. Today we're here with Ringgold City Council candidate Rhonda Swaney. Rhonda, thank you for being here. I appreciate
Thank
your
you for
time.
having me.
And this is just an opportunity for you to tell, a little bit about yourself and some of your
Right.
background and anything you want to add. I've got a few questions, but anything you want to add to that, you're welcome to do that. Okay.
All right, I
So
appreciate
my first question is, why are you seeking the position of Ringgold City Councilwoman?
Probably about 4 years ago, I became involved in some of the city council meetings.
Okay.
And I listened, observed, ended up talking to my neighbors. That led to talking to some of the businesses in the city of Ringgold. And I just got very curious as to how they felt represented in local government. And based on the feedback that I got there, I decided to throw my hat in the ring and run. I feel like that being voted into a position of leadership is the ultimate opportunity to be a servant. And it's just an opportunity that I really wanted to have.
That's awesome. What are some of the qualities that you think you bring to the table? What you would be the best choice?
One of the best things that I feel like I have been able to polish as a skill in my life is I feel like I'm a great listener.
Okay.
I think that that's a missing piece in politics today. I think that there's a lot of people that have opinions and their own life experiences, but I think and their own platforms and their own agendas, but I think that there's a lot of room for improvement in the area of just being a good listener. I'm a pretty strong personality.
Okay.
People who know me well, my kids, my family, my friends, my coworkers, they know that I have a strong personality, and so I think that that lends itself to being a good leader. And I have a heart for people.
Okay.
absolutely love people. I couldn't do a job where I didn't work with people, and I love to talk to people. And I think those are probably three of the best qualities that I bring to the table.
Awesome. As far as if elected, what are some specific goals that you would like to accomplish during your term?
I think that there are some recreational things that
Okay.
we need to look at. We've got some issues right now with teenagers needing something to do in the afternoons and after school. We have almost nothing to offer them. So that is leading to issues within the city and behaviors that are not exactly what we would expect for teenagers. And so we need to offer them something to do. That's one thing. We've got some soccer fields and some baseball fields that need to be looked at. We also have an elderly population that I have heard over and over and over again that they would like to have the opportunity to have a place to meet,
Okay.
socialize, interact. And it's not something that we offer them right now.
Okay.
It's something that I think that we need to look at. And overall, I think that we need to look at the transparency of how we're making decisions and what we're doing with our money. And ultimately, the goal should be what benefits the people that live in the city the most.
Okay.
What can we do to make their lives better?
Quality of life. Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. In the last year or so, we've heard a lot in the city of Ringgold about the entertainment district,
Right.
and just want to get your thoughts and opinions on that going
Okay.
forward.
It was interesting when that was brought up because I actually went to that meeting. And the meeting was very interesting because the entire meeting seemed to be more about the morality of alcohol rather than what was actually being discussed.
Okay.
Several years ago, the citizens of Ringgold voted on whether or not alcohol should be consumed by the glass, and it was passed. So I'm not quite sure why we spent a lot of time talking about the morality of alcohol. Being elected to that position, I think it would be imperative on me to talk to the businesses,
Sure.
the people that own businesses in the city of Ringgold. I think it would be part of due diligence for me to talk to the citizens of the people who pay taxes in the city of Ringgold. Do we negate other opinions? Absolutely not. But I think that there is a piece that was missing, and that was no one had their finger on the pulse of what the people of Ringgold really wanted. There was a lot of people that spoke up that didn't even live in the city. So my opinion, and part of leadership is, my opinion really doesn't matter. My job is to find out what the people that I'm representing want and what they need. And ultimately, if growth is what people want and quality of life and people want it, then I think that it's something we should move forward with. I will say that I think that it's not a blanket, every festival we have, every evening event we have should involve alcohol or an open container of alcohol. I definitely don't think that. We have some really good things that are already going in the city that we don't want to change. But there is a genre of people that want to see concerts, festivals, things where you could walk down the street with a glass of wine. And I think that those people need to be listened to.
We heard.
Right.
Absolutely. Thank you. How important would you say it is for the mayor and the city council and the city manager to work together in cooperation? And kind of what can you do? Do you see yourself doing to foster that if that's important?
I think honoring the roles of each other, honoring the role of the city manager, which is to execute the wishes of the council. I think honoring the role of the mayor, whose job is to communicate with the people. And honoring the role of the council. That's the way that the council is there to discuss, make decisions, listen, and everybody needs to respect each other's roles. The way that it's set up right now may not be what people agree with or not agree with, but the bottom line is to have to work together as a team to get anything done. And I'm not so sure that that's always been happening in the last few years. Yeah, something definitely working as a team.
Sure, absolutely. What would you consider one of the main issues or challenges affecting the city of Ringgold, and kind of what would you do to combat that or those?
I think that right now, as a person that's about to drive back to Ringgold, I think growth is something that we need to continue to look at. I think that we need to look at responsible growth, so growth that has a direct positive impact on the people who live there now. And I'm not so sure that we always are doing that. Because right now we've got a lot of construction. We've got businesses coming and going, empty storefronts, businesses that are struggling. And I owned a business in Ringgold, so that's one thing that I bring to the table that is growth is important, but responsible growth is also important. And letting the litmus test always be, is this growth going to impact our citizens in a positive way? I think that's definitely the biggest challenge that Ringgold's got going right now, attracting growth and the kind of growth that's going to benefit the people who live there.
Sure, absolutely. And that kind of goes with the next, for what do you envision for future economic development taking place in the city of Ringgold?
Same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, really being very strategic in how we grow the city, because there's a genre of people and a group of people that want to maintain the feel of a small town, and I love that.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's also a large group of people who want to see convenience,
Sure.
things come to the city that they don't have to drive to Chattanooga to get. And I think there's a way to meet both needs, but I think it has to be very strategic.
Absolutely. Is there anything else you would like to add to tell voters about, your opinions or things that you bring to the table, some things you'd like to see in Ringgold, just anything else that you'd like to add to talk to voters and let them know more about you?
Bottom line for me, and where for me personally all roads begin and end, is I want to be a voice for people. I'm not looking to further an agenda, or I'm not bringing something to the table that I have in a back pocket. I really feel like that's a missing piece of what's going on in the city of Ringgold. Is not everybody wants to come to a formal meeting to express concerns or ideas, but there's a time and a place to have someone represent people that is willing to meet with them in their homes, to meet with them outside of that. And I feel like that's something I bring to the table: connection with people and listening, and strong leadership. I think they all tie in, and they're all equally as important.
Sure. Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Amy. I appreciate it. Thanks.
I'd like to thank you for watching these candidate interviews. We at the Chamber would like to encourage you to exercise your right to vote on November the 5th from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.